Hello and welcome to another video. Today with a Titan Quest 2 build for a pretty good and interesting ice shard build featuring the Storm and Rogue archetype. Now, this bad boy is absolutely blasting through everything the game throws at you right from level 1 and keeps getting better and better at even the highest difficulty at +5 levels. Ice shard is a very strong skill that allows you for some incredibly smooth gameplay, and it features a pretty interesting scaler. In this case, it's energy or mana. We reserve as much as possible and pick up nodes for the Ice Shard spell to increase our damage according to our reserved amount. We also get as many projectiles as possible, which we combine to get basically a more multiplier on this skill, because it can shotgun. We further utilize critical strikes as a more damage multiplier, and we also make use of the Mark spell, which reduces the damage enemies deal, decreases their resistances, and also provides us with extra damage in form of vitality damage, which is lifesteal based, and we also increase the damage they take through a passive. So this spell is an absolute monster and completely broken. Now, to finish it all off, we are using another damage cooldown and a blink ability for mobility. All around a top tier build that is incredibly fun to play and promises you a good time. Now, if you like what I do and want to support me, make sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you have not already. So thank you very much for the support, and let's dive into the meat. So let's get into the meat. We're going to look at our storm skills first. We have our Ice Shard. Ice Shard scales off of our reserved energy, as you can see here, 1791 DPS. When we turn off our reserves, and here we only have 829. So it's quite a lot of damage we get through those. This is because of Infused Shard. So Infused Shard is enabled by going with Nimbus here, Storm Nimbus, as well as the Rogue, Preparation, Aura. Both are unlocked a little bit late in the game, so at first you're going to focus on Torrent, Projectile Penetration, 2 times Homing and 2 times Chaos to really get the ball rolling. Once you get your Auras, you can go with Infused Shard. Very simple, very effective. For Nimbus, pick up Storm Enhancement for 90 energy as well as 60% increased cold damage. And we pick up Blink later on, which is a toss-up between either you want Mobility first, or in the Rogue tree you want Vanish first, which is a little bit of mobility and a ton of damage. What I did was to go for 2 in Storm and then 3 in Rogue and finish up the Storm for Blink very late in the game. So for Blink specifically, you only want to repeat for 2 points here. So you can use it 2 times and then teleport back. For Rogue, we're going for Preparation for enhanced critical hits, as well as Trailblazer, 15% movement speed, 50% impairment resistance, and maximum impairment resistance. This is extremely strong. It is not accessible on gear otherwise, so this one is an exclusive stat just for this aura. Really, really good. And movement speed is rare, so it's basically a second pair of boots you have equipped all the time. Really, really good. Then we have Mark for Death. All your damage will deal 10% of a hit as vitality damage, and vitality damage, as you can see here, has 10% lifesteal. So if you hit for 1000, it's 100 vitality damage or 10 leeched health. Really, really good, especially once your damage grows and grows. So for bossing, this one is a no-brainer. You activate it by just casting it 1 time and it stays without a duration on the target. We also weaken the target with 14% reduced damage, and with a passive late in the game with Dismantling Tactics, we deal increased damage to our Mark. When we kill an enemy, they get vitality damage for 100, so we leech a little bit, and we are going to reduce the resistances by 8% with Mark resistance, and later on we will crit more with crit strike chance on the Mark target. Lastly, we go for Vanish. We want to max out Vanish, grab enhanced critical hits, burst of speed and enhanced duration. So max out burst of speed after enhanced critical hits, then enhanced duration. With this you will have more uptime on your Vanish. For the passives, we go for 6 points in Ranging Mind, get cast speed here. Later on, once we have our reserves, we also want Arcane Influx, 4 points here for reservation, which is 10% energy reserved, and we get mana regeneration based on our reserved energy, which is good. Then we have Storm Attunement for 77 increased damage in all kinds of buckets. It is 1 bucket for us, but it's the best point investment for damage we can get on the skill tree currently. Then we have Storm Guidance, which is a mandatory pick. So once you get to the 2nd tier, you want to max this one out as soon as possible. We want the increased projectile homing as well as the range and the projectile damage. We pick up homing first to reduce the projectile speed of our missiles. and penetration. Then we can spec our eye shard to this specific setup. So 2 chaos, 1 projectile penetration is enough, torrent, homing, and infused shard 5 times to increase the base damage as much as possible. For the rogue, we pick up 6 points in accuracy with a crit damage more multiplier. And for deft hands later on, cast speed, increased damage, and more cast speed here. Lastly, you want to max out dismantling tactics for increased damage to our mark, resistance shred, and critical hit chance. And we also have shadow arts for 12 points here, cast speed, critical strike chance, and a ton of spell damage. So my recommendation is to go for Storm 2, get the aura, get eye shards, go to Rogue, spend divinity points here, pick up preparation, pick up mark for death, and then work on vanish next. The last pickup should be blink. If you prefer more mobility instead of more damage, go for blink first and then go vanish last. For the attributes, I have 10 points in vigor early with 25 points in agility and the rest in knowledge to equip a few more items early on. I never respec out of agility, otherwise I would have put everything into knowledge and a few more points into vigor. Probably around 25 to increase my bulk. For your equipment, you want a stat stick as your weapon. The base damage of your weapon does not matter at all. So for this weapon specifically, you're looking for cold damage percentage, spell damage percentage, energy, or cast speed. An example of a stat stick weapon that is not a staff is this one. For lightning damage, this one would be superior. You have 32% increased lightning damage. Down below, you have 19% lightning damage, so you can roll both. You have area ability damage, so basically a ton of increased damage. You can equip this one and it's going to be the same effective weapon for a spell. So it doesn't really matter what item level the weapon is. It only matters if you're rolling higher cold damage or spell damage. On your shoulders, you can roll critical hit chance. On your helmet, you can roll cast speed as well as cooldown reduction. On your amulet, you can roll cooldown rate as well as increased attribute, as well as high resistance, cold resistance, and so on. So you want resistances also on your gear. This is apparent on the rope where you can grab a ton of health as well as resistances. On your boots, you want to have as much movement speed as possible. 16% is the highest roll I have seen. So that's what I'm using. On your arms, you can go for cold damage as well as more resistances. On your rings, you can find crit chance as well as cold damage, cooldown rate, or spell damage. So far, I haven't found any unique weapons for this build, and well, that's about it. Now, for the boss, we're going to look at this boss specifically because it's the last boss, so it's the hardest one. We are going to debuff the enemy with our mark, dodge his strikes or eat them, doesn't matter, and then we are going to shoot the enemy. You want to teleport as far away from the enemy as possible, so your homing hits the enemy. If you're standing inside the enemy, you're not going to hit anything. Then you're going to loot everything, and that's about the end game. Did we get anything good? Doesn't look like. Anyway, this sums up the video. If you have any questions, comment down below. If you liked what you saw, please leave a like. Subscribe if you haven't already, and see you next time. Bye.